Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Pastor James Reese, Heaven's Light Ministries, preacher on patrol. You know, in these days and times, it's quite interesting. If you disagree, you can do that, but I'll tell you, from this vantage point, I can tell you, it seems that bad is getting worse and good is getting better. How about that? It's a sign of the times. A lot going on. Every area of the country, every area of the world, actually. And one of the things that I have to take into consideration, as you do, there are components. There are things inside of our systems of living, our civilizations, our beliefs, our cultures, that we have a tendency to follow and trend. When things get so out of control that the people that are trusted become bad and are making very bad decisions, oftentimes for personal gain, sometimes we have to take things back under control. God has an interesting way of doing that. If you've ever read Daniel from the Bible, that's the Old Testament version. This is the New King James. It's Daniel chapter 6. You see, Daniel was a distinguished man in God's eyes. He could determine dreams. He could do any number of things. He was a seer. He was a man after God's own heart. But it says that Daniel distinguished himself above the governors and satraps because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king gave thought to setting him over the whole realm. Now, satraps were kind of like magistrates. There was 120 of them in this particular kingdom. The governors and satraps sought to find some charge against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they couldn't find no charge, no fault, because he was faithful, nor was there any error or fault found in him. And then these men said, "We shall not find any charge against Daniel unless we find it against him concerning the law of his God." See, they knew that he faithfully prayed to God every day. You see, sometimes when people are so bent, they've watered down their belief systems, they've accepted the status quo, and they have allowed their morals to be diluted and polluted. And then all of a sudden, someone who is actually a good person, a righteous person comes in, they don't like that because now it's disturbing what they've become accustomed to. It says, these men said, "We shall not find any fault against him." What did they do? They said, "We'll have to trip him up somehow in the belief that he has with his God," talking about our God of the Christian faith. All the governors and kingdom and the administrators and the satraps and counselors and advisors, they consulted together. This is a lot of people. Over 120 got together to figure out how they can trip up this guy who's got so much favor now in the king's eyes because God is with him. Well, so they got together and went to the king to establish a royal statute. They said, "Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing so that it cannot be changed, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which does not alter." And therefore King Darius signed the written decree. Now here's the problem sometimes people can get into. This was a king. They have sovereign decision-making processes. They can do pretty much what they want to do and when they want to do it. But all these satraps and these administrators came together to trick the king, you hear me? To get him to make a decree, a law, that for 30 days, if anybody consulted or prayed to any man or other god other than himself, that they should be put to death in the lion's den. What they did is they trapped the king, and through pride, through arrogance, through a number of different things, whatever, the king said, "Oh, you're flattering." He said, "But they're flattering me. They love me so much they think I'm a god." He said, "Sure, guys, that's okay." Not thinking correctly. He signed the law, which could not be altered. Even he could not alter that law, and they knew that. So they got him. What did they do? They watched for Daniel to pray. And every single day he would pray. He would look out his window towards Jerusalem and pray to God Almighty. Well, they saw him and they said, "Oh, king, didn't you make a decree? By the way, Daniel's praying to a God that's not you. You must put him in the lion's den." Well, that all of a sudden just hurt the king's heart. He realized he had been tricked. So he didn't have an option. They had to throw Daniel in the lion's den. Now these were probably hundreds of lions. They were starving. Put them in there, put a big stone on it. The king had to put a signet ring on there with a seal it. Well, the king didn't sleep at all that night. He was pacing the floor. No good food, no music, no nothing. Pacing. He knew he had been tricked. He was furious, and at the same time, Daniel was such a a treasure for him. Isn't that like a good Christian person, a person who loves the Lord? They're just a breath of fresh air around you. You can trust them. They do good work. Well, here's Daniel. Now, he's in the lion's den, and the king he's got so many emotions going on. Well, the morning comes. He runs to the lion's den. Roll back that stone. Daniel, has your God saved you? Daniel said, yes, good king. Live forever. Pulled him up and out. And what was the first thing he did? He said, go get those satraps and administrators that did this and put them and their families in the lion's den. It says that the lions broke their bones and everything before they even hit the ground. Let me tell you something, folks. Judgment comes swift, certain, and severe. People use trickery oftentimes. And I'll tell you what, it will come back around in triplicate. Let's always remember, it's always better to be on God's side. Don't get on the evil side. Don't buy into the lie of Satan. He comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Don't let him do that to you and your family. You be encouraged till I see you again at the appointed time. It's Pastor Jim Reese. Heaven's Like Ministries, preacher on patrol.
Praise you, Father in heaven, from our life. Praise you, Lord. I praise you.